Hey guys, this is the Bizarre Briefing. This is a behind-the-scenes podcast with myself and Brant, who do video production, and John, who runs Scam Stuff. We give you a behind-the-scenes look at what goes into the YouTube videos, all of the emails that Scam Stuff releases, as well as just what's going on in our personal lives. We do this once a month, and it's a real good chance to get together and just kind of share information and kind of clue everybody in and share a lot of really fun moments that really don't have a place in the actual releases. So if you like what you're listening to, check out the description below for the YouTube links to the old episodes as well as to the podcast link. We put out an episode once a month, and we really hope you enjoy it. Hey everybody, and welcome to the Bizarre Briefing for January 26th.
January.
God damn it.
January.
I was trying to power through it. For January.
I thought it was great.
Thank you, John.
I thought it was the best intro I've ever heard.
Thank you, John. For January 2016, I'm Bryce Castillo. That was John Tilton and Brant Hughes.
Hey,
Hey, everybody.
how's it going? It's been a while.
It's been a while. People, not only did we not have a December episode, we didn't have a December episode.
Nice. Segue into that first topic real smooth.
Yeah, boy. We also, the YouTube version of November went up like 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Oh, well then, so those people are like, whoa, we already had an episode, now we got a new one.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I had people telling me like, hey, you guys skipped 2 months. And like, no, we skipped 1 month.
Wait, somebody talked to you about the show?
Yeah.
There's
Somebody watched the show?
Somebody cared enough and only watches it on YouTube to have cared that it was.
There's something about the monthly thing too that's like builds that anticipation, right?
Yeah.
Like if you have something every week, you're like, oh yeah, next week.
Like,
But if it's
if you
like
miss
once a
one,
month-
you could just catch up next week.
Right.
Like, whatever. But if you
when
miss
it's
a monthly,
then it's like, where
that's a
you
big deal.
been?
Yeah.
Setting that up. So welcome back. New year, new studio.
Whoa.
It's true. Although
We-
I don't know how much you can notice on the. Well, I guess the camera stuff's completely different.
Well, and
but
I imagine that everybody who's watching this is watching watches some other show that's produced in the studio.
Yeah, probably.
So they've probably heard the spiel of we rearranged stuff, got a lot more space, a lot more usable space. We like now you guys are set up. We no longer have to shoot in very specific camera angles.
does it go through like pretty well?
No, not really.
Not so much to Brant's, because Brant's is pretty tight.
Yeah. But like it's a big difference for us. Like it feels very different in here.
Right. It's there's a freshness to having this much usable space.
Yeah.
You suddenly have options, which you probably were much more limited in the other configuration.
John, could you imagine if we shot extra credit in this space, like as opposed to the weird like gangly?
Yeah,
like,
well, that
side.
was so long ago that.
Right, 'cause you guys were
it's
right up
hard
against
to
that
remember,
plastic.
but it was crowded. So this would be a
Yeah.
lot better to. I don't know if I feel more. I always feel like weird shooting those anyway because, it's designed to. I don't know anything going into it. I always feel kind of like,
Right.
oh, what am I doing?
Yeah,
But-
for me, it always felt like the warehouse feels like it would have been like the perfect space for that because
Yeah.
it gives so much room to do stuff and all of that. But I always felt weird shooting that in here because
Yeah.
it was just so tight.
And it's still small. Like we were shooting stuff in here on Friday, and we had all of us plus other people in, and it was like, it was pretty crowded. But
It would have been impossible before the setup with the same number of people doing the same types of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, especially with because the look's a lot nicer. Like we could have done it, but it would just be. I don't know. It would
been different.
It would feel a lot different.
And we probably wouldn't have had room for the 3 camera setup.
We probably would have
Probably
shot
only
like
had
we
2.
like
or
we
it
are
would have been
shooting
2
now.
handhelds instead of 1.
Well, so previously with extra credit, when we shot like the crazy side thing, we did have 3 cameras, but it was pretty tight.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also when we did that, I was telling John the other day, and you, because you were here.
Yeah.
Back when we shot extra credit, like we didn't have most of these cameras
That's
or
right.
lenses. We shot on my Canon 5D Mark II, which has a like 10 to 12 minute recording limit on it. So we would stop down every 10 minutes and then start back up.
Jeez.
And I'd have to resync all those. And then we had Brian's T3i, T2i.
The Rebel T2i, I think. Yeah, and that one overheats.
Yeah, that one overheats.
And it had
I forgot about that.
That still has the same recording limit. Like 10, 11 minutes. Or it should have, unless it was hacked.
I don't think it officially has the limit, but because of the overheating issue, you
It
basically
has.
have that. I think it's a little bit longer. You couldn't run it for more than 20 minutes without running into an issue.
Yeah. And then we had one of these cameras.
Wow. And now we have three of these
and a
the
GH4.
4. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
The good old
brave new world.
hard days. Stuff
my
was
God.
tough.
Yeah. And
We were making this in a cave.
like I said before, half of those extra credits I made in After Effects.
That's
Which
always
blows my mind.
That's always my favorite.
It blows
fact.
my mind. Like,
it?
editing with After Effects is so, like, tedious.
It is. It was insane. It was insane. And then the other half I did with Sony Vegas, which I didn't know how to do. That was like my first experience doing anything multicam. And then, I didn't actually start using Premiere until the first episode of Scam School. That was the first thing I did in Premiere.
So really, a lot of your video editing, you've always had that as kind of a hobby and whatever. But like a lot, would you say like a lot of that skill developed just over shooting Scam School a lot and just
I mean
that practice?
a lot of like the fundamentals of editing I learned beforehand. As far as like just piecing together things. But I learned a tremendous amount as far as like pacing, as far as like clarity of illustration and demonstration, especially with Scam School, because Scam School is so like teaching oriented and all the extra credit stuff is teaching oriented. And so you have to like not only be entertaining, but you have to clearly and effectively show the thing you're trying to show, which I learned a lot about. And then also just like working on a bigger production on a really tight time frame really kind of helped push my craft once I started on that stuff. So I did have a fair number of the basics down beforehand, but I really refined all of my work through Scam School.
Yeah.
Cool, good stuff.
I mean, I feel like same.
Yeah.
Like, I was doing some video work before I got here, but it was very much like long form, kind of low impact stuff. And so making the shift over to shorter, more punchy pacing, a lot of that developed because of Scam School, just in the year or so that I've been doing it.
Right.
By the way, it's been a year.
Yeah. It's
Been here 1 year.
Yeah.
It's been a little over 2 years since I started doing Scam School, which is fun. It's been, Christ, how long has it been since I got here? I got here, I feel like we do this every month.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably every other month or so.
Yeah.
So it's time. We need to just write down, move to Austin in 2013.
Yeah, we just need to have like a timeline on a whiteboard up here. That'd be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a while though.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So we have a whole month to catch up on. What do we want to talk about first? More recent stuff? More older stuff? We have a lot to talk about.
I mean, recent stuff is fresh on my mind. I don't remember December.
Okay.
I remember I was gone for vacation for a little bit of it, and that's about it. I don't know what happened in December.
We had sort of a last minute shoot, Scam School shoot.
Right, yeah.
Because we found out we did not have enough episodes to get us through the end of the year.
Yes.
Through our vacations. So we banged out just like two
Two
or
or three. Something like that.
This is like, thanks to math alerting us that we did not have enough episodes.
And we still really don't know how many.
Yeah.
We need more.
Yeah. Well, and it's
love
funny
it.
because like Brian and I definitely had that conversation when I was talking about my vacation plans with him. He was like, So we have enough to get us through the year, right? And like I was looking at the guide, and I was pretty sure, but it was the type of thing where it was so close, where it was on the line.
You know,
of like,
there are dates on all of those. just gonna throw that out there.
okay.
So you don't actually have to do the math.
Well, okay,
Bryce
you got
just
me.
likes doing
You
the
got
math, though.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to try
I mean,
out my
he's
Just
addition.
doing
I don't blame
hardcore
you.
equations.
I used to competitively do mental math. So I
wait,
understand.
really?
Yeah, in UIL.
Wow.
Wait,
So
what,
look
is
out.
that like?
Look out.
Is that like speed or
A little bit.
okay?
Yeah. I mean, I think you get like bonus points if you're fast
Like
or
if
something.
someone,
I don't know.
if
Was that
someone
through-
popped up behind you and
It's a
said
bag.
7 times 6.
Yeah, that's how they do it. Yeah.
Was that through like school or
Yeah,
what was?
yeah.
Okay.
I didn't do it for very long though. I did it for like a year or two.
I was in math competitions in elementary and middle school, so it was
What
like.
are math competitions?
Yeah.
This is bizarre.
It was, have you
mean,
been in math competitions?
No.
See, he didn't get it out of his system. That's why he's like, I got to do the math.
Yeah.
But we're like,
He's hopeless. He'll never be satisfied.
yeah.
Yeah, I did a couple of different versions of math. I did mental math. I did like calculator math, and then I did a lot of spelling and grammar stuff.
What was this like? In what grade were you in
This was high school, probably early high school.
Okay, so that was probably like compared to my math, where it was like you're basically just taking a test with other schools, and they would give prizes out or whatever. But for you, that was probably like heavy duty math.
I also did like academic decathlon, which is kind of spanning the whole.
That just sounds.
breadth.
That sounds harder.
It's intense.
It is harder.
It sounds 10 times
aptly
harder.
named.
And every year academic decathlon focuses on like a period of time. So I want to say this was right around the French Revolution. So it was like literature in French Revolution, math in French Revolution.
Wow,
It was
wait.
some crazy shit.
Oh my god.
It was good though. I was kind of there because I had like B's and all of my friends had A's for grades, and so they had like the A team totally filled out, but they had nobody in the B team. So I was just like, yeah, I'll do it. And I was okay for the most part.
Sure.
But I was real good at interview. I was really happy with interview because I'm so charismatic.
Wait, what is
Wait,
interview? Interview is not a school subject. Like
Yeah, there's
literature.
there's an interview.
what
They would interview you for like a job during the French Revolution. Is that like what's that section?
How many horseshoes an hour can you make?
I think the French Revolution stuff more pertained to like a lot of the literature stuff and things like that.
Like an
I
oral
see.
exam.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Well,
was expecting
I
like,
see.
what's your favorite color, or like
No,
debate something like debate.
I kind of like our made up version of this better, where you're just like they're just seeing if you could survive.
Right.
In like this.
That would be
time
pretty
period.
cool.
Like
And
could
then-
you do the math that you need to build like whatever architecture was like?
And everybody dresses up and
Yeah.
they have
I like this
reenactors.
better. You have to like cook certain food. I like that.
That'd be pretty good.
Make me a quiche, but it's a time appropriate quiche.
Right.
So you can't use like homogenized milk, and you have to use like
Man, this test is gonna take forever.
yeah,
You gotta go out and grow that stuff.
yeah, and then you gotta cook it. Quiche is not easy to cook.
I feel like we have a new game show idea that we should be doing. Like you bring in contestants from all you don't tell them what time frame you're going to be in, and then they
Right.
are, and they have like, an hour to make their costumes or whatever, and you go through all this thing, and people get like voted out, and like I don't know. I feel like it would be a good game show.
Iron Age chef.
Iron Age chef.
Iron Age chef.
All right, yeah. That works.
Wow. I bet you didn't expect this conversation to go here.
I didn't, but I'm so pleased.
Yeah.
I certainly didn't expect it when
Your math couldn't tell you
current
that.
topic is talking about the month of December and what we missed.
So we had that shoot. What else? So how was vacations? Very briefly. Good vacations? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Travel around, see family.
Yeah. Same, John.
Yeah. It's funny because and maybe this, I don't know where the rest of the doc goes. I think this is fine to talk about now.
Sure.
It's funny because the way the workflow is at the end of the year, basically, we've had products come out every week or so since last February through October, early November, something like that. And, it's basically adding new stuff. There's a certain kind of rhythm you get into from that. And then all of a sudden, at the end of the year, it's just like all Christmas orders. Stuff gets really busy with that. And then it just turns into this like...
lull.
You just need to... Well, I'm talking about when it's busy. It's like you just need to do what is obvious. So it's hard work, but it's all very clear and straightforward. And so that part's really good. But then, of course, the busy part, that has difficult nature to it. But then now in January, it's like, well, all the, just Christmas rush orders are gone. And so now it's a lot of like trying to get back into
development.
It's almost like switching jobs, almost like you kind of get this natural switch before, but then you get this abrupt, well, Christmas is over. No one really is looking to buy. We have sales still, but they're
so you kind of
just not the same.
Right.
Typical post Christmas.
You kind of go from fulfillment to development to
and it's a weird thing. It's a different section of your brain. So it's just like there's just days where I'm like trying to like get back into it, and you're just like, I feel like I did nothing compared to last month,
Yeah.
But it's finally I can really start to feel it now. So December was a weird month. I don't really actually think a lot of interesting because we didn't have any.
We didn't have
products.
any launches. No.
So I feel like I don't have really anything interesting to report that we would have missed.
Yeah.
So
bye.
Can you confirm new stuff coming to Scam Stuff?
Yeah, well, we did on Friday. We didn't have a video for it, so you guys might not have known about this. We actually don't have a video for this week's either, as we're kind of slowly getting back into things. But we did this legendary lockpick expansion set, which is very exciting because, so if you guys remember the ultimate lockpick, the picture's not too exciting. Probably because we did this all ourselves and didn't have your help with it. But this is what it sounds like in an expansion to that ultimate lockpick trainer. If you want to click that link there to this the old one, so it's an expansion to this. So you get more, you get more of those,
and they're higher difficulty.
Yeah, they're much higher difficulty, which was a big request because for most people, if you've never picked a lock before, this is perfect for
like figuring out.
Yeah. You start super easy, you kind of add more pins, and that's what the progression is. You add another pin, add another pin, add another pin, until you get to a 5-pin lock, which is more or less, a standard kind of lock, but it's still an easier 5-pin lock. Right. So we worked with Brian Knows a Locksmith, and he actually developed a follow-up course, which is if you hunt for it, you can find it on other sites, so we don't make those. We work with the people who do. But this one you can only find it on our site, and it's completely developed and handmade. These locks are handmade to, and you can see a little bit on the description what each is. Our Brian's friend Dan Kunath did that, and I think he did a great job kind of making a diverse selection there. And so we haven't gotten any feedback yet because they're just going to start shipping out either today or tomorrow. So we started taking orders Friday, but people started to get it at the end of this week. So I think people will like it. But it was one of our most requested things last year was to get people would finish it and just be like,
what do I do now?
Hey, I finished this. Is there a level 6 or whatever? So this is what we came up with Dan.
That's cool.
So let's play a mini game because Brant didn't know about these. So these each got names. Each of the locks got names.
Are you going to ask what he thinks they do?
Yeah. So lock 1. Well, just if you can figure out what the names.
There's no way he'll.
Maybe.
I'm trying to think. Did you look through these yet?
I have seen the list once or twice because I got the email, but I don't think I went through all of them. So lock number 1.
There's no way he'll guess them.
Is the Devastator. We'll just see how close. We'll use math to figure out how close he is. We'll figure out points. I don't know. What do you think lock 2 is? named?
The Vanquisher.
The Vanquisher. All right. Lock number 2 is the Punisher.
Okay.
That's kind of close. You got the Isher.
Sure.
Here I really like how the Brontosaurus is humping the lock.
He's just going to town.
Sex sells.
I thought that was a nice touch.
Also, one of these dinosaurs apparently has electrical powers because it says zap.
Well, that's the lock.
The lock.
Yeah,
It's saying zap.
At least in my, I put all these bad photoshops together, and in my mind,
they're great.
The lore of the world here that I built,
right?
The comic book noises are coming from the lock when he kind of enters the.
So you clear all the pins and then it goes zap.
No, that is not
zap.
We don't want to false advertise here,
but it doesn't actually.
It does not do that.
Okay,
but
in the fictional narrative,
yeah. Just like your Star Wars figures don't actually, they don't
say
have vocal
lines
cords.
In the movie,
although now they probably do these days. But
action figures have been saying lines for movies for a very long time.
This is a narrative connection to the actual locks, but it's in universe canon.
Yeah. It's not actually IRL canon.
Right. Yes.
Okay. What about lock number 3? We got the Punisher and the Devastator.
Lock number 3 is going to be the onomatopoeia.
The onomatopoeia. All right. Well, let's take a look.
Yeah.
The Slippery Ninja. Pow. It says.
I want to say that's half credit.
Yeah, I'll give you half credit for it. Especially considering there's no possible way you would guess any of these. Although I will say the next 2 are guessable based on your previous information.
Oh, interesting. Well, what about 4? If you didn't see it when I accidentally scrolled too far.
I didn't. Okay. I made sure to try to not see it.
Okay.
I mean, so this isn't really based off of previous information, so it's probably wrong. But I wanna go with something with a wizard, something with sorcerer. That sounds very Brian.
Yeah.
So I wanna go with the shifty wizard.
The shifty wizard. Okay.
Yeah.
That probably should have been one, but it's not.
Lock 4. The Devastator 2: Revenge of the Devastation. This one goes zing. Ooh. It's upside down. Is this is like
he's barrel rolling.
Okay, he's barrel rolling through anime. I think this is like an Android RPG that you've pulled this image from.
Yeah, I'm fully expecting one of these people.
We're gonna get a DMCA copyright thing on this show.
Yeah, that's. I'm fully expecting an email at some point. Please change the image, and I'll just put a different image in the back. But
yeah. All right, very briefly, number 5.
All right, Devastator 3: Electric Boogaloo.
The Punisher 4: Russian Justice. It goes kaboom, and is this robotic Stalin?
It from the video game. All your base belong to us. It's a fan art.
Okay.
Of
the bad guy from that game. Okay, but also as Stalin. This is Stalin.
At least I think so. I saw a caption that
that this is Joseph Stalin.
Sure, but he's got that red eye.
Sure, but the bad guy from that video game didn't look like this.
I thought I don't know. I haven't played that.
Okay.
Yeah, wasn't the bad guy like a cat?
Oh yeah. Now okay. Well, there was the only reason I said that was there was like a caption.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess he does look completely different.
Yeah, we've got the all your base guy.
Red eye.
Yeah, he doesn't even have. He's got like a jewel in his.
Also, yeah, I'm sorry about that. The reason I thought that was there was like a caption, on Google it said all your base belong to us, and I was like, oh, I guess it's the guy from the thing.
Oh, interesting. Maybe it was like a meme base,
or maybe sometimes it doesn't match up the picture, so maybe there was something else on there.
So we do have a question for Wobbleophagus. So we've got they're listed as 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A. Are we gonna get 1B, 2B, 3B, or is that expansion?
Yeah. Well, it depends on it depends on how these sell. They're off to a pretty good start, but we'll see how they continue, and we want to get feedback on these as well. We don't want people to think, oh, they're too hard or they're not as fun, or we want to get proper feedback on it before we commit to doing another set.
Sure. But that's kind of laying the groundwork.
It's something that could happen. Gotcha. But there's no current plans for it. But I don't know if we'll do 1B, 2B, 3B. Freebie. We originally it was the A was for advanced, so 1 advanced, 2 advanced. But I if we did another one, I would probably, to avoid confusion, do 1B, 2B. I think that would make sense, and just kind of change just ignore that it.
So if A stood for advanced, no, but
because then you would what would you do? Ultra advanced, 1 UA,
badass,
ultra HD,
right? Badass. C would be
you can do badass.
Cow pusher. No. Current
carrot.
D, Devastator, the standalone expansion pack. And then E would be evil.
All right.
Boom.
Sure.
Marketing is easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have up to 5Z planned.
Wow.
Just gonna, no, that's not true.
Oh, damn it.
It's a 10, 15-year plan.
Yeah, 10 or 15-year plan.
Yeah. So that's some scam stuff. Should we be expecting any kind of behind the scam stuff coming down the pipeline once we get new products coming out and stuff?
I'm actually not 100% sure what all is official information out there, so I don't want to say too much.
Right.
But it's
clear that we haven't done a behind the scam in a little bit.
Yeah, we haven't done one for a while, and we're considering kind of changing how the feel of that is.
Yeah.
So in some of these smaller releases, there won't be, but I think there'll be something coming up.
I feel like it's pretty safe to say something will come back. Hopefully soon. We kind of are waiting on a couple of different things to pan out.
Yeah, currently the best way to keep up with new products is the email list. That's the place where people will hear about it first. Mm-hmm. We got something coming out this Friday, and then it should be the Friday after that too. So we should be back in the weekly schedule if everything keeps running smoothly.
But yeah, you can sign up on scamstuff.com. Just use the left bar to say enter your email address.
Brian will personally spam your face with awesome.
They're really well written. They're pretty well written. They're good written.
We try to make them. We try to make it so you're not bummed out that you get the email. I know, especially for people who, because you actually click to sign up for it, but some people just click that not knowing, or they think they're agreeing to something else or whatever. They're not reading it, and because I know I do that when I Christmas shop for other people, and then sometimes you just get loaded with just really lame, super straightforward, here's how
they're
not
many
even
points you have.
Products a lot of times. They're just something like that, or
I swear to God,
a sale for 10% off or something.
Yeah.
We really, even if it's something simple like a sale for 10% off,
you make it fun and interesting.
Yeah,
to read.
we really try to make it interesting to read. So if you go through the email, even if you have no interest in the product, you can get kind of an entertainment value out of reading the email. So that's kind of the goal that we have for those.
I bought a pair of underwear maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and I still get emails from them.
Have you unsubscribed?
I've tried. I have. It's a thing. It's it's. I feel like underwear is just below the line of shady enough where they won't unsubscribe you from a list, right? I think when you get to shade, no, I mean it though.
Where are you buying underwear from some back alley dealer?
No, it was actually kind of an expensive place. I won't say it because they don't deserve promotion, but it's one of those things where they get your information and they have it, and you have to shut everything down and delete your account, and because the only reason they're emailing me is to say that I have points somehow. I have some sort of points for their shop.
How many more points do you need for a new set of underwear?
You should spend those points.
I'm
gonna start emailing you. Hey Bryce, you remember those points?
Points found or points earned?
Jump in the Slack. Hey Bryce, what about those points?
But we don't have any scam points. No scam points guaranteed.
Yeah, well, it's funny because
look into
on one end, on one end we've been interested in adding some sort of scam points at some point. But I can tell you right now, we won't email you telling you how many scam points you have left if we do any point system for purchases.
You heard it here first.
I'm gonna see if I can find how many points.
Yo, man, you should get on those points. Meanwhile, John and I can vamp. Talk about some point stuff.
You want to talk about points? What would you want points for from scam stuff?
I want points to gamify my purchasing so that way I can level up. And get discounts on
there's because we use Shopify, so there's a couple things that do that, but they're like very they're like weirdly expensive for like what it is. It's like, okay, so you're looking at your software is looking at the purchases, finding the accounts, and giving them points. And it's like, you're going to charge us like $300 a month to do that, really? And then you're like, it's probably worth more while to like go through and like tally up points like by hand rather than what are we looking at over here? What kind of underwear are you buying?
What do you think happened? Like, look, I have $75. I have 75 of their store bucks, and I don't know how to redeem them. And this.
I mean, John, you look at some underwear websites, you're gonna see some people in underwear. I'm just saying.
Yeah, John.
Well, it was just an inch. It was did it flash up on here?
No.
It was just an interesting.
It was a couple of guys wearing tidy underwear.
Some dudes in underwear.
Yeah, they seemed highly appreciative of each other's.
On the spectrum of like uncomfortable images we could have pulled up via purchases, it's on the lower end.
Oh yeah. It's on the lower end.
Okay,
but I don't know. It was just weird that we kept going down the.
I was trying to see I was trying to contextualize the 75 points. How about that?
That's good.
Yeah,
it's contextualized.
I'm trying to do my job as the producer, and this new monitor we got set up is ruining my bit.
It's good.
Anyway.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Points,
man.
Points.
Yo, we should take some photos like that for scam stuff.
Shmoo Lord says, hope Brian doesn't go through the history.
Oh, Brian's probably got worse stuff.
I made it sound worse than it was.
Night attack happens on the computer. There's far worse stuff.
Right. Yeah. My YouTube history is worse than this. Well, I guess that would be transitive property.
Let's not go down that road.
Okay.
So
because we use my YouTube on Night Attack.
We talked about the new studio space a little bit.
Yeah,
we got some new bits of equipment.
So we ordered some new stuff on Friday after the shoot that we had in here, and about half of it showed up.
Did you order it on Amazon? Is that why it came so quick? Yeah,
it came on Sunday.
Yeah, because they do that in Austin.
Yeah, which is weird. So we got some new 21-inch monitors. One of them is what the guys are looking at now, which shows what I've got pulled up on this screen. The other one is going to be over here for so I can see Skype, because we don't have a duplicate of that monitor.
Right.
So I've had to have Brian tell me what I'm pointing at because I can't totally see it. We also have ordered a 32-inch monitor so that the full chat window here can be seen on the wall, and a wall mount for it.
You do like a vertical?
No, because this is only because it's going to duplicate this, which is a 4x3 monitor.
Okay.
So even vertical won't do much for it, but it'll beat the three lines that are on the program monitor or him looking at his laptop.
Gotcha.
We also got a bunch of HDMI cables, DVI cables, camera cables.
Right.
We have gotten a new kick light. It's is it LEDs? It uses an LED panel, and it's got Wi-Fi, so you can do colors and effects and fun stuff with it. And it's really light, and it's USB charged to kind of potentially replace some of the lighting panels.
Yeah, because we've been having some issues with our lights lately.
Yeah, and so now instead of having to have the panels, which are already so heavy, and then batteries for them, this is something we're experimenting with.
Right.
We've ordered a slider.
Yes.
Which you're excited. What was it called again? Do you remember?
The Rhino slider.
The Rhino, right.
The V1 slider.
And a tripod head to go with it.
Yes.
And
real excited about that.
Yeah, that'll be cool. Sliders,
I've never
they have a
used
very
one.
specific purpose, or like they have very specific purpose uses, but when you have them, it looks amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
Other things, we got some new splitters for the new monitors and stuff.
And we ordered a new lav.
That's right. We ordered a very expensive lav that we think will be good for under
the shirt.
Connecting for under the shirt, right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna experiment with that.
Industry standard.
Industry standard. That was the entire criteria. We had two that we were looking at, and one of them said industry standard. The other one didn't.
Well,
were they the same price?
They got
no.
They're about $50 off. Yeah. The guy who Brian contacted one of the sound guys from Hacking the System to ask for advice about it, and he said the one that we ordered was industry standard.
Oh, he said that.
Yes. I see.
Oh, I thought it said it on the Amazon page.
No.
You would think for a $400 microphone they would put more than one photo and some text on it.
Right. That was embarrassing for them.
It's so weird how these companies that sell expensive musical equipment or just any tech will put one very low resolution
like postage
image,
size,
no data, like the copy paste of just like the little brief copy that they have about it, like no technical specs. We almost bought the wrong one. We almost bought one that didn't have the right connector because it was just like hidden.
Yeah, I've seen that happen before.
I think at some point they just like they're not so concerned about selling to consumers who are going to be most of the people who are looking at it on Amazon.
Yeah.
Whereas the like production companies that are actually buying these
they know
from
what they
them,
need.
They contact the company and
they
buy it from them specifically.
Yeah.
Especially if they're doing some, like, I don't know, sometimes people are like, they'll have stuff on Amazon just to even have it there, like, and not really care about the sales on there, because a lot of times they're not making as much money off of that.
Oh, yeah.
So there could be a lot of reasons, but yeah.
It's a real bummer.
That's like one of like 50 reasons I could probably BS about that with some truth element in it, you know.
The shocking expose.
Just based on the little that I know about it.
Yeah, it's just so weird because it's kind of a higher ticket item, you know, but
you would think.
Well, sometimes that's when you have like the worst kind of, because like people? You were saying, Bran, it's like people who are spending that much money probably did research about it and know, and then they just look for the number of this is the right one. They don't care what the picture is.
Right.
Speaking of
audio,
I heard I heard from someone else who was in the room that there was an eerily identical audio issue.
So there have been a few audio issues.
There have been
lately.
a few. That was most recent.
First one was Hypnosis Part 1. So that episode is out now. It's on YouTube, Vessel, everywhere. The episodes go out to. Hopefully, if you watch the episode, you won't notice anything super weird about it. But during that shoot, we only had 3 mics because our 4th mic was in Brian's.
No, we had the 4th one at that. We did have the 4th.
Sure?
Roberto just kind of doesn't like that 4th one.
I know kind of how it happened too. Okay. Because
let's set up the problem first. So during that episode, one of the microphones was not on or was like muted.
It just wasn't recorded.
Yeah.
So we ended up only having audio from Brian and Chris,
but not
none of our guests.
Right. Which got resolved by the second part, which is going to go up this week.
Yeah. I think it's because we hadn't known what guest until right up to the start of the shoot, and so I remember being given the mics on mute, and then Roberto asked for them back, so I handed it to them, and then I think he was rushing to get it on them and forgot to unmute it. I think that's what happened. So it was like one of those silly things.
Yeah, and as far as that goes, that was it sounded fine in the episode. Right. I think you did a pretty good job of sussing that out.
A lot of manual tweaking with gain on Brian and Chris's stuff.
Even at the end with the guy, the couple of lines that he had sounded great. So you done good.
Yeah, we made it through.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably why he didn't notice either, because he's monitoring it, but he could probably hear everything fine. But just didn't look at the
possibly. There are a lot of failure points that could have happened. There was a lot of we were feeling a little rushed on that.
Yeah, we were feeling rushed, and then that one moves everywhere too.
Yeah, it was just a weird episode.
So there's a lot happening.
We were prepping to move like 3 or 4 times for that episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
which only we moved once.
Right.
But
and also a lot of times, like Roberto, who does our sound on Scam School, has to get
and who does a great job, by the way.
Yeah, fantastic.
I don't want the one exposure people hear of Roberto's sound work to be like the one time he had an issue.
Yeah.
He has a very high success rate of.
It's funny as I'm editing, I always like catch like a little thing that Roberto does, and I'm like, oh, Roberto. But then like we had a couple episodes where Jaime stepped in and did audio, and man, it was rough. Like I love Jaime.
Was it a big difference? Yeah. Well, he doesn't have the
and I was like, oh, let's get Roberto back in here. Come on.
I think I remember because I think I did one of those that Jaime had done, and they were a little too quiet.
Shoot, I hope the audio I did for the Friday thing is okay. Did you listen to that yet?
Haven't listened to it yet.
No.
But I was just paranoid about the whole
you've done it before.
You've
done it before. I think you.
Well, what's there to do? That's why I'm worried about it. I feel like I didn't do anything. I did ride the. Because people get louder and quieter, so you have to make sure they're not hitting the top or too quiet.
Well, even then, that's like not the worst thing if they peak a little bit.
Yeah, ideally you don't have to do much. I mean, like anytime we shoot stand-ups or whatever,
there's
I set it, put it on my back, and never touch it.
People who are moving it around, trying to do stuff.
So like in Jaime's case, like
who's a great guy, very smart.
I told him some good advice, which is like it's better to be quiet than it is to be loud, generally speaking, because you can bump up the gain, but if it's loud and it's peaking, then it just sounds really bad, and you lose data that way. But unfortunately, like sometimes he'd get like channels mixed up, and then he would have one like written way down as they're talking.
Yeah.
And so.
But and you know what, like because I've done it a couple of times, and it is confusing, especially at first, just remembering where your channels are and just who is on what, and it happens.
But yeah, to my original point, like whenever you're doing like the sound work, you have to be pretty close to the action so that way you don't get a bunch of RF interference. But unfortunately, the closer you get, the more you can hear them talking bleeding through your recording. So you're not actually getting a clean sample of what's going into the recorder. You're also hearing them just talking.
Yeah.
So it can be hard to figure that stuff out sometimes.
So, but that's not all.
That was the first one.
Yeah.
The second one was, I guess we can go into the remix.
Okay.
So lately, if you're a Vessel subscriber, you heard a remix today, which was a little wonky. So
what happened was, we've got the new studio set up, and normally it would be Brian at the computer. We use a program called Cool Edit Pro, which is from I think 2003, to record the audio, which we're using for this program.
Right.
And so when so the computer that software is normally on got replaced. So this is a new computer with a new copy of the software. But we had it there's an issue when you record in 32-bit audio, where if you're not using the right type of encoding or dithering for it, what you get in your other audio programs is like a solid block of audio.
The waveform is just
yeah.
Whereas usually it's a dynamic as
let me see if I can pull it up just to get, or if you saw I Instagrammed something about it the other night, and so here's a little peek.
Patience. All right. We good? We're the best. Let's get it on.
So it sounds like it's 3, 2. It sounds kind of cool, but it's definitely like completely unusable.
For sure, yeah.
And
it's like a good like mission control, like weird distortion kind of thing.
It's noise pop. It's the perfect way to make noise pop.
Right.
And because I had that same issue with Weird Things on Sunday also. As I recorded it and I took it back home and I was like, what the fuck? I can't do anything with this.
Right.
And so I came back in today and that's when I noticed and figured out all this stuff with 32-bit. And we were able to recover all of that stuff. The files weren't bad. It's just the way that they're encoded is not typical.
Oh, interesting.
Gotcha.
So everything could be saved. I sent you the new remix audio, so hopefully we can maybe get that.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get that replaced tonight. And then everything should be fine for the YouTube stuff.
Wait, so the Vessel version is like that?
No, the Vessel version has the cam audio. So it sounds like really roomy.
So that's not horrible, though.
It's not the worst thing, and I think we can replace stuff
before.
on Vessel.
That's nothing new.
But I think we can replace that on Vessel too.
Yeah, we can.
So that'll be good.
I have to.
You have to make it private and
you
then
have to make it private, replace it,
back up.
then put it back up. And luckily, it keeps all the comments and the views and the likes and everything like that, which is really nice.
Yeah.
So it makes it pretty easy. But that's not all.
That's not all.
That's not all. So we did a Modern Rogue thing this past week, which you have my word, it will be live on YouTube before February.
Oh, I need to talk to you after the show about this because I never heard about how that went, and I'm excited about it.
Okay, yeah. It should be a really fun episode. We actually have 2 Modern Rogue episodes shot, one from our first batch.
Oh, that's right.
That hasn't been edited yet. Hopefully we'll get to that pretty soon. But this latest one will come out very soon. It's real fun. We had... we shot at a couple of different locations and most of it went fine, but like the real meat of the episode, we sat down to shoot and
they're like rappers basically. Well, it was like the result of the day.
Right. Yeah. And that's kind of that part is mostly the meat of what's going on. And Brian likes to mute his mic a lot.
I don't understand it.
Whether he's going to the bathroom, which happens pretty frequently, or I mean, like normal levels, I guess, but just frequently in the middle of a production.
Sure.
Or if he's like on the phone or having a private conversation or something, he'll mute the mic so that way it's not in the recording. So that way, if somebody's listening to the recording, they don't have to listen to him urinate or whatever.
Sure. And he's got that habit down.
Yeah, he's got the mute. Like
he knows how to mute it like nothing.
Like it's kind of just muscle memory at this point.
Right.
I'm assuming because it's just like a thing that he just does.
But he doesn't have the opposite side of that coin to unmute when he's ready. And so because we've talked about this exact story with the Rogues Tavern unboxing.
With the unboxing, yeah.
And it sounds like a very similar thing happened where there was a break and then Brian came back and there was no audio for him.
We literally, I'm sitting there listening to the audio and I go, okay, guys, give me levels. Okay. All right, great. Recording. Put it down.
Oh, so his mic pack was on when you checked.
It was on when I checked. When we started, I said, okay, recording. And then I go over to the camera and Brian's like, hold on, I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick.
God damn.
Turn it off. Walked into the bathroom.
Man.
And then so he comes back and doesn't turn it on. And I'm really focused on visuals because this is like the format of this episode is really
very
different.
visual.
Yeah. And so I'm not focusing on audio
and you already checked it, so people know it's recording, so it should be good.
Like, I think, you just unmute your mic when you're ready to go, and he totally didn't.
We needed Roberto.
Yeah, and Roberto offered
He
to
did
help.
offer to come by that day.
I didn't, I'm really bad about, like, not wanting to put people out.
When would we need you, Roberto Slim?
Well, in my mind, I'm thinking, it's like stand-ups, right? We never have a problem with stand-ups. I just press record, and we go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah. And then it almost happened again. Brian was like, oh no, I think my mic was not on. And so I listened through it and I'm like, yeah, it's not there. Like, I think I can make it work, but it's not there. Worst case scenario, we do voiceover stuff. And we go to shoot like the end wrap up. And Brian's like, all right, hold on, I'm going to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, so the way the story was told to me is he's about to go to the bathroom. He says, and watch me when I come back because I'm gonna unmute it.
That's
and
what
then
he said.
Goes to the bathroom and comes back and promptly does not unmute it.
He's just like checking on his phone. He's like, all right, you guys good to go? I'm like, hey, Brian.
Hey, forgot something, buddy.
You should probably turn on your mic. He's like, yes, I should.
So we actually, the last time this happened, we had bought some equipment to kind of alleviate this by having remote monitoring, which I don't think has got set up. But I think a good habit we could have in the future is because during his game school shoots, Roberto is full service. He likes to take your mic back and unmute it for you. Like he'll do that for Brian. But I think if we're a little more upfront at this game school shoots, it's like, hey, are our mic packs on? and have him just manually check. Maybe he'll be a little more mindful.
Yeah, that's probably a good habit to develop. Oh boy.
I like that. Next we have a in-depth discussion about art.
Art.
We do if you want to have it.
We want to.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm excited.
All right. So I put this on the doc.
Okay.
This was a question posed to me in December, and I thought it'd be interesting to hear your guys' thoughts because at least for Bryce and I, it's very intrinsic to our work, but I'm sure John can relate to some degrees as well. Question was, like, if you find like can you find art that's not man-made? Like, can you go out in nature and find something and classify it as art?
Oh, interesting. Because you can certainly use nature to make art.
Right.
But could you find art that is not man-made?
Is it
This is like a spin on the age-old question. This isn't like our video games art
right
question.
Well, I think in some way it sort of ties into that, but
I think you could find artistic merit in nature, but I would have a hard time defining something. I'm going to say it as nature-made and not man-made, because I think there are already a lot of art pieces that are based off of robotic machinations, some of which are very heavily influenced by either random numbers or just mechanical processes. But I would say I would find it tough to say something that is made in and by nature as art, because I think art has at least a modicum of intentionality. That's me.
John?
As a creationist, I would probably veer to you could definitely find art in nature.
Okay.
I can go into it deeper if you want, but yeah, I would almost if you kind of spin what Bryce was saying with that intentionality.
Right.
So then my viewpoint would be kind of, well, I believe there is an intentionality to it.
Gotcha.
So it's interesting that you said that, because it kind of
bolsters your
perspective. Our part of our starting point's not the same, but part of our thought processes on that. So
that's interesting. Yeah. So someone in the chat has posted these images of La Cavernas de Marmol, which are some very beautiful caves. It's got a lot of great colors, and it's beautiful. Wow.
See, well, here's another thing, though, too, that, because there's something also very different about, like, a photograph of nature, too. There's a different layer of it where it's like...
Where you're asking whether the photograph is the art or the...
Well, because art could also...
Subject.
Even if with the whole, creation thing set aside, there's also a... when we typically talk about art, we're usually talking about kind of, it's not like your dog's making art or whatever, right? Like it's typically a pretty human element too. So even if, even with that belief in there, I don't know. I'm not fully decided yet too, because you could say that also there's kind of like here the human response to seeing beauty in nature. Is a type of art, but
that is interesting.
I don't know what the actual definition of art even is too, but
All right, so I have
Bringing up definitions.
my
Webster's dictionary defines art.
Let's talk about Marcel Duchamp for a second.
Okay.
He was an artist in the Dadaist movement, and he kind of really led an anti-art movement back in like the early 20th century, I want to say. So here you're seeing a lot of images of Fountain, which is arguably his far and away his
most well-known
work. And it was an interesting thing because he's kind of trying to get to the bottom of like what classifies art. So he put like on some level he put Fountain up in an art exhibit where he just found like a urinal and he signed it, right? And he put it in an exhibit. And he thought like, oh, well, this is so distasteful that most people won't view it as art, but some might. And like, what does that mean? Right. So there was a lot of debate about it. And at the time, people really didn't like it. They were like, this isn't art. This is, you're just like, you're throwing this in our face. Like, we don't appreciate this.
I mean, because for a long time, art was defined sort of by the French culture as there was a hierarchy of art, of like paintings.
Right.
The best types of paintings to make were war paintings because it was totally from your imagination. It had multiple subjects. It was landscape. It was action, and then there was a hierarchy that went down from there as just like the impressiveness of a painting was objective. And so that's what you see from sort of Duchamp and other movements that came out that were sort of anti-big art, anti-museum, anti-traditional.
Right.
Well, presentation has a lot to do with it too, though, right? Because if you look at the urinal, when you look at the picture of that, how it's presented, it's not like you walk into a bathroom and see a urinal.
Sure.
Like you're experiencing that in a completely different way. Like it's asking you to respond to it versus just running into it, right?
Yeah.
So
it spawned a lot of discussion. Obviously he didn't sculpt the urinal. He signed it. Some people were like, "That's vandalism." Some people were like, some people were like Jomon in chat who says like somebody designed that urinal though.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it deals with like the way that he recontextualized it, like, kind of like John was saying. He sort of reappropriated it for an artist intent, so to speak. So these days, it's typically considered art, pretty much broadly across the board.
Yeah.
And a fairly important piece of art. And I haven't really studied like really deeply into it, so I can't necessarily say why. But in my mind, there are two possible reasons. One that I personally like, which will help me answer the original question.
Okay.
So the other one is that yes, it's art because he imbued it with artist intent. He recontextualized it in such a way that it speaks as an art piece, right? And I think I wouldn't be surprised if that was the more commonly accepted reasoning behind why that's art.
It's pretty similar to I think what John and I were sort of saying.
Yeah, and why I kind of not to say I wasn't really going back on what I was saying, but it really depends on because like I was saying with the presentation, like that's why the art is exhibited or presented in a certain way. And it is kind of a man-made construct for like taking a because it's different walking into nature and seeing it there. But if you were to go and like take a piece of land out and bring it into a museum, like just like how it was, and just put it there, it would kind of gain a new context, right? Because it would be the way you're presenting it then becomes something different.
Sure.
And so, because then you can easily fall into the trap where it's like everything I look at is art. This way the microphone is art, and it's like, I guess you could argue that, and I'd be like, fine, whatever, sure. But I do think having that, the way you're exhibiting it is.
Plays into it.
Plays a huge part, at least in how we understand it as a term.
But what is your hot take?
So my view is I think on some level it's broadly considered an art because people view it as art.
So it's from the viewer's perspective rather than
it's a perception thing and not an intention thing. Because if everybody died today and somehow some new life form came in like hundreds of years down the road, and they find a thing that we made, would they consider it art or not? They have no idea of what the intention of the creator is. Like, it's just whether or not they kind of view it as art. And I think on some level, it's like so art is so heavily defined by human creation and creativity and ingenuity and that kind of stuff. But I think people tend to overlook the fact of like how much creativity there is in the spark of inspiration that happens in your mind when you perceive a thing as something that maybe it isn't entirely, right? So that's the great thing about art is art stimulates so much conversation and feelings and thoughts, and it can be contentious and people can have different views on it, like the fountain. And I think something that's not necessarily man-made can still have that effect on you in some cases. It's just a bit more rare, right? So as a creator and an artist, I feel like it's not inherently my job to make art, although I think a lot of times that happens because I view my own art as art. But it's more necessary to
make someone else understand it as art,
right? Like create an environment in which other people can perceive art.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I do think that's an interesting perspective on it. I think as far as leaving it to the eye of the beholder, you enter a dichotomy of people who would see something like the fountain and say it isn't art, and then would you still consider it art because at least some people do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think for me, it's a binary thing. It's if somebody sees it as art, then it's art. Then you just have to merit whether it's like well done, whether it's good art, whether it's not. Then you can talk about intentionality, and that becomes an element of the discussion of the art piece, but is not like the necessary qualifying factor.
Interesting.
I have a similar. There's a rant I have that is very connected to all this.
John rant.
When people bring this up a lot, where they're like, I think they did this is based on a real life experiment they did, where they took like someone who was playing in some concert hall, and people are paying hundreds of dollars to like see them play the cello or violin, whatever. I forget the artist, but then they brought like the same artist to the streets, and they're like playing, and they have like
sure.
Oh, well,
I've seen those videos.
People are saying that because they're at a concert, it's worth this much, but on the streets it's only worth a quarter or whatever. And I always
I've seen that BuzzFeed video.
Like I get, right. I get what they're trying to say, but at the same time, like the acoustics and the atmosphere of being on this, like going back to presentation, when you're at a concert hall, a building that is magnificently designed to bring the sound of instruments like to your ears in the best possible manner. It's like that is, at least to me, totally worth paying. Like if someone was like, you can see. Kelsey and I actually just got tickets to see John Williams. Super excited in August.
Nice.
But
August.
I know it's far away.
Damn.
But I hope he's healthy during that time. But if someone was like, you can pay $200 or whatever to see John Williams conduct whatever in a concert hall
versus
or for free,
what would you tip him in a subway?
Not even tip, or just go for free.
Yeah.
And you can do either or go for free. And you guys know me, I'm like a cheapskate. I'm like, the free version or whatever, right? But conduct like a quintet on the streets, and it's like that would be a cool experience in its own way, right? But it's like if you want the thing to be as it's supposed to sound in an environment that makes it sound the best, it's like pay the $200, get the full thing. It's like it's almost
you're paying for
like,
fidelity and for context and for comfort.
It's almost like seeing a movie in the theater versus like seeing a VHS like copy that was taped off television or something.
Or seeing it on a plane or something.
Or seeing it on a plane. Like it's like you can't say, oh, because you paid less for. I get mad when they're like, oh, it's the same exact thing. My illustration is proving a point because it's the same exact thing. It's not by any stretch the same exact thing. That's my rant is over.
Yeah. All right.
I thought I'd bring that up.
And real quick, like to that point, like bringing it back to my thing, if let's say you saw like a stack of rocks and you were like, that's a cool stack of rocks out of nature, right? Maybe you line up with it just right, and you see like the way that the light dynamics bounce off of it, and you like in your mind you start thinking of like, okay, what have been the paths of all these rocks as they've moved through time and space to get in this crazy arrangement, and then you're like, your mind starts whirring, and you have like a moment, right?
Here we go.
But
the rocks you've seen, Brant.
Sure.
In your dreams.
But if somebody took these rocks and they put them in an exhibit, right, you might not have that kind of internal revelation.
It means something different. The context is different.
Yeah, and I think it would be hard for me to accept that one would be art and the other wouldn't. When they could have like the same impact on you.
Well, and because I guess are you also saying the meaning of looking at it would change too? Like you're going to an exhibit, seeing the rocks could bring a thought to you that the meaning of that could be different than the same exact set of rocks that you just stumble upon, not in an exhibit. And
not always, like sometimes it could have, a bigger, more important meaning to you, and sometimes it could have a lesser meaning to you. Like in some cases, maybe I see those rocks in an exhibit and I go like, wow, this could have really said something, but now all I can think about is a dude walking around picking up all these rocks, thinking that he's stacking them in a cool way.
Do you guys think certain like movies wouldn't qualify as art? Like if I remember people bringing this up in a similar discussion that we had in college in one of our classes, and when it was first brought up to me, I was like, yeah, sure, shouldn't all movies like be, there's some art stuff flowing, but then like I think they brought up the not even the first Mr. Bean movie, but the third Mr. Bean movie that's like super just like it's almost like the script just like existed always because it was like it's not very much.
There was a laundry list of movies I was thinking John could have said, and Mr. Bean 3 is not on that list.
But it's like, but that like there's certain movies that just feel like
pumped out.
It feels like the intention from everyone involved is to have a consumable movie, whereas you go to something else, and maybe this is going back to what Brant was saying. What some have. They would all be a certain level of art, but the, like the new Tarantino movie would be a different caliber of art. But if the qualifier is, as long as one person is declaring this is art, it's like I want to find the one person declaring to me that Mr. Bean 3 is the art. I actually haven't even seen it, but that was the example that was brought up.
Okay,
but I'm sure you get what I'm saying at least. Yeah, Paul Blart,
The Ridiculous Six, all of those Adam Sandler ones.
Say again.
All of the Adam Sandler movies,
right?
Like he said, that I do them because they get to go to Hawaii.
But and there might also be something to be said about like, there's art and then there's like high art, which really takes into account all that intentionality.
But I think the audience too is when you go to, like, there's movies that I really enjoy that I'm struggling to think of one, but like, let's say it was the Mr. Bean movie where you like go into it knowing, oh, I'll enjoy this, but I'm not necessarily looking for an artful experience. And in some case, it might surprise you. But in other cases, you're just like, I really just want to relax and eat popcorn and have a laugh versus going, like, there's other movies you go to where you're looking to be affected by it. You're going into, so I don't know if there's a difference there. But
I think making that atmosphere, having a movie that is comfortable to someone, does not necessarily ding it versus something that maybe would make you think a little more or pose higher conceptual problems.
Yeah. Well, I'm mostly saying I think there's some projects that everyone, the audience, the filmmakers, whoever's financing the film, they all kind of go into it knowing what's up. They're like, we're going to make this thing, and it's going to be this thing, right?
We got to get paid.
Yet they're not like and yeah, like everyone knows it and everyone's fine with it. Like no one's mad, no one's going
I'm
to
mad.
Mr. Bean 3
Now
and being
I'm mad.
like and being
You're right, no
like
one's going to Mr. Bean
Rowan.
3.
they
You're on blast.
threw away this opportunity for, you know, whatever kind of art. But there's other movies where you go into it and the movie you know, might be better than
you expected.
something like oh no I'm saying the movie might be better than something like a Mr. Bean 3 or what. I keep hitting the pick on that movie because I haven't even seen it. Maybe it's the most artful movie ever done. But just for sake of example, but then you go in with the expectation though of seeing some type of high art, but then it comes across. So I think expectation does have a lot to do with kind of your response to it.
And I think something like film is interesting because I feel like there's so much art in the crafting of them.
Yeah.
Like any kind of craftsman-y vocation, like carpentry obviously has a lot of art. It's basically sculpture.
Yeah.
Architecture has a tremendous amount of art. All of those things have art that kind of come together to make art pieces that aren't conventional art.
Like you can't go in and flip the camera on and expect it to be fine. Like there's an art of going to, like no matter what movie someone's a cinematographer for, they have to have a certain amount of familiarity with film as an art to even make something that's watchable.
But I don't think watchability. I think the choice to be random or the choice to be unintentional is also a choice.
Well, yes. Well, I guess if you went to see a Mr. Bean movie where the camera work was actually really awful, people would just be like, "Oh, well, this is art. Like, look at the
Paul
camera.
Greengrass
I
I might give it a shot.
Mr. Bean's great, by the way. I'm disappointed I couldn't come up with a better example off the top of my head.
Yeah.
So I ran with the one that was the example given to me years ago. But were you guys ever Mr. Bean fans?
No.
No,
Oh, man.
I can't
used to
get
be on
into
Netflix,
British
but it's
humor. I can't do it.
I think I grew up with it, so it probably helps.
Yeah.
But it's good stuff.
Very cool.
Art.
Catch it.
Art fever. Catch it.
Oh, here we go. Here's the Merriam-Webster dictionary from Duchamp here. Sorry if I pronounced your screen name wrong. Art, something that is created with imagination and skill, that is beautiful or that expresses important ideas or feelings.
And my only point of contention is that you can create with imagination and skill a moment in your head as you see it with something that you didn't necessarily make.
So something you could also in reality, you would add like a clarifier there, like something that's in
maybe. I don't know. That's something to think
space.
about. You could probably have a real artful LSD trip or something. I don't know.
Well, I also
It's like I'm seeing the craziest thing.
But what happens when they develop technology where I can beam over my thoughts to you and I can present it? I can be like, exactly think the way that would be cool art, right?
That would be.
So like you have a one-to-one experience, and it's me expressing my thoughts to you in a way. That's cool. I want to be a part of that.
And I think even the Merriam-Webster dictionary definition here is, for me, probably still a little too defined. Like, there's plenty of art that is made sans imagination, sans skill, that is intentionally ugly, or that chooses to focus on ideas that are not important or groundbreaking, that are kind of standard,
Who says it's ugly, though, Bryce? Who decides that the art is ugly?
Okay.
What is ugly?
God damn it. Don't do that to me.
Damn.
Boom.
Damn, roasted. Yeah. So there we go.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Well, that's what Brant says. Kind
Are
of.
you joking?
I mean, that's kind
No,
of
you're not joking.
In the mind.
I mean,
Oh.
is in the mind of.
beholder would be my argument.
Okay.
Not necessarily the eyes,
Yeah.
but usually. We're a very visual
Yeah, I mean, you could be
species.
blind and appreciate art, I bet.
Sure. We've got blind Scam School fans.
Yeah, true.
Scam School's art.
Well, and music's
is.
art, and even if especially
Yeah,
like
music.
you could
I totally
feel
forgot
the
about
Yeah, it's not like you make music or anything.
You can feel the
I forgot about
texture of, like, a
photography.
painting.
I forgot about music. This is going great for me. So, pivoting.
Yeah.
We want to talk about maybe ads.
Sure.
In the past couple of months, I have a funny story about the ad last week. It was the Brian Got a Puppy ad, and it was on the what episode was that? It was the one before the first hypnosis episode. So we shot that kind of a little later in the day after podcasts and stuff. And so we probably spent maybe an hour or so between setup and filming, and just kind of even brainstorming and just sussing out what exactly the ad was going to be. We shot a completely different ad, which was not great. It was like not a great ad. And then as we were wrapping up, the moment that you see in the ad where it's just Brian holding Kepler and just like baby talking to him, was just like something he did at the end of it, and then we ended up using that. Like if you nobody else has the raw footage, but right after he says that, I'm like, that could just be the ad. And I think it was kind of doubly funny because that was basically the original idea that I had for the ad, would just be Brian with a puppy talking about domain.com. And then that spiraled out into like the ad would have been like a very on the nose, almost like affront to like those ads that use animals to try to, get people's emotions sort of stirring. So it would have been like, hi, I'm holding this dog. You feel emotionally invested. I'm taking off my glasses to show you that I'm real.
I'm a family man. Here's my dog.
Yeah. Here's some drawings that my kids have drawn of Pokemon. And that went on. We must have spent 30 minutes alone just trying to get sneakers on Brian's lap. And then the idea would be later we would have Kepler, and he's like, we replaced that dog with a much cuter dog. And then we just basically threw all of that away. So that's
sometimes simpler is better.
Yeah. It was also the idea I had at first. So
I do have to say I really like how most of the time we've been doing this show, there's usually been a update on the pup date, right?
Oh yeah.
And then this month is a literal puppy.
Literal pup date.
It's an actual dog.
Kepler is so amazing. He's cute and adorable.
Bites a lot, but
he bites a lot. He likes to jump. He's gonna be a jumper.
He's got that cute puppy bite though, because it's like I'm kind of biting you, but I'm not really.
Yeah.
Although
I tried
feel
to
like he bit you in the face or something.
He scratched me on the nose. He scratched me on the nose when we were doing the shoot the other day, right at the start of the day, and then by the end of the day, I look down at my nose and I see this big reddened mark. I'm like, God damn it! He got me. He got me hard. He got me good. But
yeah,
that's what puppies do. I try to, if he bites me, I try to like pinch him on his neck. Like where a mother dog would like pick up a dog. So I'm not like hurting him, but like just like pull him off me that way to kind of condition him.
The best way to train a dog is to make a whimper and then walk away. Because that's what a dog would do.
Right.
If it was like, hey, you bit me too hard. But
interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. That almost puts it.
I think I read that on the internet once.
My feeling about that compared to like using like a deeper tone of voice or the nipping thing is that puts you on like the same level as the dog compared to if you show a little more gruffness.
Interesting. Yeah.
Without hurting the dog. No one wants to hurt the dog.
Fulton the dog. Put a balloon on that dog. Make it fly up into the sky. That'll teach him. Outside of that, we had a bunch of other ads. We had a lot of voiceover ads, at least with mine.
I had some too, yeah.
Just because ads are hard. I've been running into a real like
we've been hitting
creative wall.
Yeah.
The past few weeks. So like this hypnosis ad was a like 2 a.m. Oh, I've got an idea on the day that it's due.
And you made Chris Jones a vampire.
I did. I thought conceptually it was really funny.
Because vampires are known for suggestion, so that's kind of a good connection there.
Yeah, well, it goes against everything that he says at the beginning of the episode. He's like, okay, so media misrepresents hypnosis all the time, and so the ad is misrepresenting hypnosis, which I thought was really funny. But it was in a tongue-in-cheek way that I felt was fine.
We did a voiceover ad. I think this was for December. It was one of those weeks Justin was in town. And they were doing the VR shoots, and Brian was like wiped. It was on a night attack night, and so they had a long after show, and we forgot to record the voiceover. This was the meditation one, and so Brian was like, "I'll do it. I just need a minute." But then Justin stepped in and was like, "Bro, I got this." So Justin Robert Young does a domain ad in December. Nice. Did a domain ad, which was nice. He was good. He really got into it. He's because he's done like a lot of audiobooks and stuff. So like kind of having that like real gentle, very very subtle slant on the voice. You know, he got into it pretty quick. So
yeah, man, it's tough.
It's getting tough.
Yeah. I've been running at it for a long time, and I ran through a lot of ideas.
Yeah, well, yeah, man. We did one today before this, which will be, I guess, on the one that goes up on Wednesday. But we actually shot it multicam in studio here because I was in it, and I'm hoping it turns out well because I'm in it. I'm always like real self-conscious when I'm on camera.
See, it's funny because like you're not always in yours, but Brian's in yours a lot.
Yes,
and mine is almost exclusively
always,
me.
Right. And that's a function of me like not being a real big fan of my face or my voice.
I must say, Brian, I'm actually always really impressed by your acting abilities. Especially you
commit.
You're someone who like
Thanks.
you know you do the whatchamacallit, the Myers-Briggs things, and you end up on the more introverted side of stuff, right?
Like far
and so
corner.
I'm always pleasantly surprised by the your ability to just like play the character you're aiming for well, and I don't know, you always make me laugh during those. So
well, thank you.
Like the Williams one, like
Williams is pretty good.
I wonder I think you're pretty outgoing with us, but also we kind of know each other, so it's easier to be a little more talkative with
it's taken some time to get comfortable with you guys.
Yeah.
So
but it's really admirable that you kind of have that same relationship with the camera and just with being on camera.
Right.
Do you have to kind of like separate yourself from that then and like be like, I am something else?
Sometimes.
What's your method? What's your
method? My method.
You take a year to like get in character.
Yeah.
You like only act like I'm trying to think
Iron Man.
What? Yeah. You only act like Iron Man for a year and then you do the ad.
Yeah. There's a lot of like I kind of do the same thing with shooting ads that I do with like everything, like leaving the house. Leaving the house is a really stressful and anxious thing for me to do. So a lot of times, you guys will notice I'm usually not early for stuff, and that's because I spend like 20 minutes like prepping myself to like get out the door. And so shooting ads is kind of the same thing where like there's a long buildup of me like getting into like the space of doing an ad. And you'll notice most of the time my ads don't have other people in it because it's easier for me to act without other people. Although it's insane to shoot by myself.
Yeah, it's tough.
As the camera operator and actor.
I just want to see the feature length Brant Hughes movie that he has directed, edited, and starred in. But it's only him. Like maybe you could even have like some I didn't want to spoil the movie I was thinking of, but something at the end where it's like, oh, there's two Brants, or like there's some like crazy stuff going on. But
I've definitely done a couple like little short film stuff. Feature length would be tough, but probably doable.
Oh, as a one-man crew feature-length film?
Yeah.
Oh.
It'd be tough, but...
It would be tough.
Of all the people...
You would be pretty well suited for it.
Right.
Yeah, you'd be pretty well suited for it.
Yeah, the biggest problem with those is everything has to be tripod. Just locked down. Sometimes if you have like the GH4, you can do like, you know, the digital zoom. Because you have so much area to work with, but yeah, it can be tough.
Or you could do it when the robots are good enough to like do the camera work.
To mimic human.
Would you credit the robots for that?
Yeah. Would that be art? Well, you would be directing them. So
you would be directing the robots?
Yeah.
Depends on whether
you are programming them or whatever.
If we've reached a point of sentience, you have to.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Once we cross that threshold.
That's why they list all those dogs in the Telltale games.
What if you programmed the robot? Like you were 100% responsible for its entire...
But does he program it with the ability to think creatively? Or to think with free will?
If I program the robot and it's sentient...
Is there free will?
I would argue no, but that's a different philosophical question entirely. If I program the robot to have sentience, you credit the robot, but you also credit yourself as the creator of the robots, right? So you do both. So you're like
or robot director.
Doesn't that just seem like more like? Oh, he did It's like, oh, Brant Hughes. These robot names you have, like, you know, like T97B or whatever, you know, like going up. But then, like, after, and they're like, oh, look, other people helped or other things helped. That, but then it comes up, creator of all these things, Brant Hughes, are like, it's just him again.
I'm just going to name them like Brant Hughes' Robot Actor 1, as played by Brant Hughes' Robot Actor.
Yeah, if you are.
You have robot actors now, too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That is true, because if you're in charge of naming the robots, you could just name all the robots Brant Hughes. Because let's say there was a family of creative people, right? And the dad was like, well, I want credit for all this, and just named everyone in his family that, like, you know, didn't work with his wife, but named all of his kids. You know, let's say Brad Pitt did it. And it was Brad Pitt directs, but Brad Pitt is every single role, but it's really just his it's just his different kids.
That'd be pretty good. Oh man, imagine
Bradley Pitt, Bradford Pitt, Bradworth Pitt, Bradwell Pitt.
Like, we're getting super abstract.
Imagine the SEO on that. Oh, what a mess. Unless it's the robot thing, then it's great because it all filters to me.
What? Yeah. Man.
Do you credit people that provided the food you ate every time you do something successful?
Well, so that's the thing is, like, people don't credit drones when they remote control them in, like, movies or elsewhere.
That's true.
Right, although sometimes...
the line is pretty clear, right? Like,
it's the pilot.
Yeah, the line is clear,
but a lot of times they will do, like, if they got a good deal and they have a good relationship with the drone manufacturer, they will specially credit them at the end with, like,
special thanks to or promotional consideration.
We're also thanking Panavision, and we're also thanking Sony, and we're also thanking, like, all these people who provided our equipment that we couldn't have done this without. Right, so they kind of do get their own special place sometimes. Yeah.
Interesting.
This is related to another rant.
All right. Wait, hold on.
Sorry,
it's patented.
It's way more of a stretch, and it's Star Wars related, so it's really dangerous territory.
I'm taking bets on how related to Mr. Bean 3 it is.
But I need to. It kept sticking out in The Force Awakens, but I need to watch the other credit rolls all the way through again.
Time to Force Awakens.
But did you guys notice how all the credits are in the traditional? No, it's not a spoiler. Okay. All the credits are in traditional blue, going through, right? Like all the movies. And then at the end, Kodak provided the film.
Yes.
And so they had the Kodak logo. And I believe, and again, I need to actually check this. Maybe it stuck out to me in the theater more than the other ones. But the Kodak logo is like full color. And it just stands out as so weird. And I feel like I remember some film logo, maybe they even used Kodak for the other ones, or the other film ones, just being in the blue thing. And I was like,
I mean,
it always bothers me.
If it is, I'm sure it's like a branding thing, especially because they have the Kodak yellow.
It has to be the yellow.
Yeah, it's got to be on with a brand identity.
Yeah, some companies are super strict about the way that their logo can be represented.
See, if it was me, I would be like, well, the credits have to be blue because it's the Star Wars credits. You can't have color.
You have to stay in canon.
You have to. It has to be,
but
blue.
not with canon.
And I would just use a different film provider. I'd be like, well, sorry, then. We can't screw up. I mean, it's film. It's gonna look fine with whatever.
I would love to hear that call with JJ. Like, listen, Kodak, we can't do the yellow, so we're gonna go with.
And what's
else. Kodak
gonna say? Oh, well, you have to do the yellow on the biggest movie that's coming out in the next 10 years. Like, what are... They would say, oh, I understand.
Have a lot of leverage.
I understand. Yeah, I feel like they didn't try it. I feel like they didn't even try. They didn't even ask. They were like, oh, it has to be yellow. Okay.
Come on, JJ. Why didn't you try?
Anyway.
All we ask is for a little effort.
Please?
All right.
God.
It's Star Wars.
I do have to go back and actually see if maybe it is in
How many
color
times have
the
you
other
seen
ones
Star Wars?
The new one?
Yeah.
3 times. I've seen it 3
That's
times.
low for what I consider, especially now that we missed a month.
Yeah, well, I've enacted a lot of self-control.
I can admire that. I saw it twice.
Yeah,
I've only seen it once. I don't even know that I'm sold on seeing it.
Got better each time. Did you feel the same?
I wanted to see it again. I just never got around to it. Yeah. I mean, as with most films that I've seen multiple times, like some parts hold up better and some parts don't.
Yeah, sure.
So it was fairly balanced in that capacity, but
at this point, I'm hoping they announce a Blu-ray thing soon, so I don't have to keep going and see it.
But nah, man, they're gonna keep it in theaters for another 4 months.
I know.
They're gonna re-release it in.
It's gonna be
again.
in theater. It's gonna be like Frozen, where it's still in theaters when it comes out on DVD.
Yeah, probably. It probably.
It was like super close or something, because it was running for so long.
Yeah, that happens every now and then with stuff.
Yeah. So we are. Oh, good God, we're at like 90 minutes. Do we want to hit this question from Curtis LaRock and then maybe give it the old boot?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sorry for my tangents.
Jesus.
I derailed.
I don't know why you got the
4
patent on those John rants.
I know.
We got a question from Curtis via Twitter. Do you want to read it, Brant?
Sure. SX. So presumably South by Southwest. I don't know anything about it. It's on the usual weekend.
Yes. The guys talked about it on Night Attack because there was confusion about this. It's not set in stone, but it looks like it will be the weekend of March the 12th, ideally with the event happening on the 12th.
Okay.
And it's not going to be an all music show like last year because with Nerdtacular on hiatus, the guys wanted to do another live show and they want to get into doing live night attacks. So they're going to do something where the Posse is involved, but they'll probably just like bookend an episode of Night Attack.
Gotcha.
But dates, that's the date we're shooting for. Time, location, TBD.
Okay. Yep. And he also asked, puppy? So presumably a pup date as in the studio space.
So Brian was talking very openly on Night Attack about a property that he was interested in.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how much he had spoken about that. But
he had talked about it pretty openly. But the end result was that it just wasn't for us. It was kind of a fixer-upper, and it would have been a fixer-upper to get us to the capacity that we are now. Like the workshop, it had a workshop, but it didn't have AC. The house was, or the garage.
I had not heard this part. This is a sad part of the update.
Yeah.
I've not heard this
I'm
yet.
sorry.
Yeah, I heard about this.
It
part
sounded
either.
like it was good.
It's an alright property, but it's if the idea was still to also build a studio, Brian really wants to build this studio tower, along with the workshop, which would have also needed upgrades. The garage would need upgrades. It wasn't right. So that's a pup date, unfortunately.
Yeah. And then real quick, let's just run down some stuff that's coming up soon.
Okay. So the thing that we shot, I guess can we at least talk about who it was with?
I don't know. I mean,
we're pretty sure it's coming out, or I don't know.
It's definitely coming out soon, but I never
don't know when
what
exactly.
I never know what the actual company policy is with this stuff, especially when it's like it's supposed to be secret, but then Brian will usually talk about it on Night Attack. So,
well, then we'll keep it vague. So we shot digital lesson. Or we actually shot a bookend for a digital lesson.
Yeah, it's
an
not,
extra credit style thing.
Yeah, it's not extra credit. It's more it's a how should I say it?
It's kind of a course. It's a little less one
I'll
note.
say this: if extra credit was like the after school extra credit to like, you know, make the teacher like you more,
this would be the scam school. Wait.
No, I'm saying that like extra credits, like you do extra credit to get extra credit. It's like, you know, it's not part of the required course or whatever. You know, you graduate without the extra credit. You don't need the extra credit, but it's nice to have, and you learn something extra, and everyone around you, they're like, yeah, that guy does the extra credit, right?
Yeah.
So that's extra credit. This is more of a like, so you graduated from scam school or whatever, and then you're like, you don't need to keep going at all. You're done. You can. I mean, keep watching Scam School, obviously.
Please.
Keep buying our products, obviously.
Domain.com.
But it's like, this analogy is bad. But it's like,
it's its own sort of self-contained course.
I want to continue my education. I'm going to sign up.
It's night school.
For some night school in a very particular, type of
class.
Art class, learning
a particular set of skills.
Yeah, I want a particular set of skills. So it's a scam school masterclass assassinations. That's what we're teaching.
Yeah,
right.
The Take 3 and
directed by Liam Neeson.
We're not teaching people.
So that's coming up.
Yeah,
in a couple
we have
weeks.
Liam Neeson to teach us how to assassinate people.
So we'll cut it off because it's coming up in a couple weeks.
Special guest Liam Neeson also joined us for a couple episodes of Scam School.
We also we've talked about the shoots. We've got some Modern Rogues in the pipeline
coming up real soon.
This Wednesday, it'll probably be out by the time you hear this. The Hypnosis Part 2 will be out on YouTube.
Yeah, that will be public.
It's it's good. It answers. I was looking through some of the comments, and it answers some of the comments, or it addresses some of the things that the comments mentioned. So that's kind of a good sign that it'll be satisfying. Cool. What's
so this next thing, design philosophy of Scam School.
An episode to talk about it. Or no. What's up?
Just kind of a standalone video. I wanna put out a thing on the second channel at some point. I'm really determined to get it done at some point. I just haven't had time, and I want to sit down and talk about like the ways that Scam School has changed over the years, and kind of some of the reasoning behind that, and how some of that was sourced, and all that kind of stuff. So that should be like a good in-depth behind-the-scenes look at how Scam School has changed since I started working on it.
That would be a cool thing, even if. Seeing kind of, if you play like side by side 2 episodes too, and really you can really see, even if you watch one and then watch an old one and then a more recent one,
right? You
see this huge kind of evolution of the show, and so it would be cool to see really see that being dissected.
And it supports the theory that Scam School is art, because there was a lot of intentionality behind
there
that.
you go.
Yes,
there you go.
There we go.
So.
And then what's this last one?
This one I thought would be a fun idea for the second channel. I kind of mentioned it a little bit here and there, but I think it would be fun for us to find an hour one of these days to sit down and just like watch through a bunch of ads, because we can kind of talk about like how some of those came to be and some of the behind the scenes stuff about some of these ads.
It's like a commentary.
Yeah, and also just to kind of reflect on all of these things, because there's like I was trying to inspire myself for the Hypnosis ad, and I just had nowhere to go, so I just watched through like all of them.
A bunch of old ads,
yeah. And in my mind, I remember like, oh, well, there's a lot of good ones in the back end, but lately I've been kind of just like phoning it in. But like as I watched through them, I was like, actually, there's like really good stuff peppered throughout like the entire run. And so it might be interesting to kind of sit down and look through that, especially since a lot of that stuff, happened before we had second channel and before we had an outlet for some kind of behind the scenes stuff. So that just might be a fun thing to do, and get Brian in here, get everybody.
I wonder if maybe,
together.
I wonder how the format will be, but that would be fun to do.
What are we posting on the Scam Stuff channel these days? Is that regular stuff, or is that kind of...
Scam Stuff channel there lately has been mostly like extended outtakes and stuff.
Gotcha.
Have been cut from the episode.
Which I make a point to pull outtakes, and then I want them to be enough to be a video.
Yeah,
I need to go back and look at some of those and get those up.
Yeah, there are some times where there are episodes where it's just like there's just not enough.
Yeah, this Hypnosis one did not have
Yeah.
barely any.
And
But some of them have.
There are also some cases like this week where like I could probably make an extended outtakes episode from Hypnosis Part 1. Not a very long one, but I could probably make one. It's just like I'm so swamped with the Modern Rogue thing and Scam School Remix and all of these things that I just haven't necessarily had time for it. There's a couple old episodes I want to go back through and make extended outtakes cuts of those.
Yeah.
But outside of that, we kind of just every now and then we do have a one-off video like our super cooling beer thing.
Yeah,
which
yeah, I
is
saw some of
sort
those.
of Modern Rogue-esque, but a little bit more concise and condensed down.
Yeah. And that's another thing where we're kind of sussing out what is and isn't regular there.
Yeah, is that some of the
So-
style? Were you playing with some of the style you're interested in working?
A little bit. I mean,
Because I thought I thought the look of those is. I think I'm thinking of the. I think I'm thinking of the super cooling one. There was one that had the graphical style of a lot of the. I don't know how to even describe it, but I really thought the look of it was distinct compared to Scam School, and I thought that was very cool.
right.
It made me excited for how future stuff will look.
Yeah, I mean, we're playing around with a lot of that stuff, trying to feel out what kind of content is appropriate to put on there, what style to do things in, all of that stuff.
This was it here.
It's still very much a work in progress, but it's been fun to come up with some new things.
Yeah, all this I thought was, no pun intended, super cool.
God,
Hey.
John. Oh my god.
Got him.
All right, with that pun, I think we should probably call it.
Sure, yeah, it's been a long one.
It's been about 101 minutes.
Yeah, you got to get
Give or take.
Cord Killers going.
I've got to get ready for Cord Killers, but I have just enough time. John, social media hiatus is over.
Yeah, it's well, it's funny because
Doesn't mean he's got to post a lot.
like we have discussed, or like I was saying earlier, with like when you kind of transition from like, oh, the job was this way in December, now it's this way in January. It's like the kind of the same thing where you go off of Twitter for a long time. It's just like I don't have the app installed on my phone still. I have to do that. It's kind of a weird getting back into it. I have posted a few things.
Well, where can
am
people
doing
go
more
to see
reading
those?
than posting. But yeah, I'm at John Tilton, JONTILTON, TIL2, and yes, that's how I spell my own name. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I think I've only posted Star Wars things, and not even in-depth thoughts, like very like
Going to see Star Wars
random
for the third time.
random things.
Yeah. Tilt on then.
Yeah.
Oh man. That's John's solo podcast. It's called Tilt On.
Tilt on.
Tilt On.
Oh, boy.
Tilton.
Brant.
At Gowrag, GATOWAG. You can find me there on Twitter or wherever else, but I mostly do Twitter. If you have me on Facebook, I'm not going to accept your friend request. Sorry.
One sentence. Can you sell people on Pizza Snake?
Pizza Snake. Okay.
Pizza Snake.
Pizza Snake is the twin identical brother of Spitta Snake. And he was genetically trained to be to embody his personality.
Yeah.
And they both travel the world of
The 1980s.
yeah, Metal Gear Topia, and they have pizza parties all the time.
Yeah.
And they hang out with D-Dog, and they're just one big happy family.
That's great.
Coming to Fox this fall.
Fantastic. You can find me on Twitter at Brygcas, BRYCAS, or on Twitch, Brygcas as well, BRYCAS. This show, you can subscribe to it, get the RSS and stuff if you go to neshcom.com/TBB, neshcom.com/TBB. You can get the RSS, you can get the iTunes link, you can find the new episodes, the old episodes, and sate your bizarre briefing lust for another month.
Yeah. Yeah, boy.
Chill. Skirt.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
No thanks.
Wait. Yeah, sorry. The tone I'd had on that ended it on a really awkward note. like someone's like, well now, what? It feels like there's 5 minutes left now.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.